For these next 6 questions, I'd like you to pause the video and give them a try, and then come back for the solutions. All right, let's do these together. So step 1 of these is get rid of any brackets by distributing. Here we can distribute that 2. That gives us 10x minus 6 equals 9x plus 7. Then we want to collect our x's on one side. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 9x from both sides, leaving me with x minus 6 equals 7. And then I'm going to add 6 to both sides to get x equals 13. Okay, and I'm supposed to be solving and checking these ones. So let's go ahead and check it then. So to check it, our left side is 2 times 5x minus 3. Our right side is 9x plus 7, and we're saying x is 13. So we've got 2 times 5 times 13 minus 3, which gives us 2 times, what does that equal? 5 times 13 minus 3 gives us 62. And so we get 124. On the right, we've got 9 times 13 plus 7, which gives us 124. So that makes sense. Okay, next one. Step 1, distribute to get rid of any brackets. We don't have any here, so we can move on to step 2, which is combine any like terms. Here I have 3 terms on the left with x's, so those are like terms. And I also have 2 constants that are like terms. So I can combine those, which gives me, so I've got 5x plus 3x is 8x, minus 1x gives me 7x, and then plus 8 plus 5 gives me plus 13. And then I want to collect my x's on one side. I'm going to do that by subtracting 6x from both sides, leaving me with x plus 13 equals negative 3. And then I'm going to subtract 13 from both sides to be left with x equals negative 16. And we can check this. I'm just going to rewrite it so I have it right in front of me here. Okay, and so I'm saying 5 times x is negative 16 plus 8 plus 3 times negative 16 minus negative 16. So careful there, that'll become a plus. And then plus 5. And what I'd recommend for these is you can just punch that into your calculator. And you'll get an answer of negative 99. And then let's check the other side too. And hopefully we also get negative 99 there. Let's see. Hurrah! I also get negative 99 there, so we know we have the correct solution. All right, next one here. Once again, distribute any brackets. We don't have any, so we don't have to worry about that. Let's think about like terms. I have a 3 and a 4 on the left. And then on the right, I have an 8x and a negative 3x that can be combined. So let's combine those like terms. That would leave us with 6x plus 7 equals 5x minus 3. And then I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides to move my x's over to one side, to the left in this case. And then I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides to be left with x equals negative 10. And then let's do a check of that. So I'm just going to plug it straight in. So we'd have 3 plus 6 times negative 10 plus 4 on the left. And on the right, we have 8 times negative 10 minus 3 times negative 10. So go ahead and use your calculators and evaluate both of those. On the left, I get negative 53. And let's make sure I get the same thing on the right. Yay, I do. So yes, we know that's correct. Okay, next one, step one, we need to distribute out that negative 2. That leaves us with negative 2x, and then we've got negative 2 times negative 6 gives us plus 6, or sorry, negative 2 times negative 3 gives us plus 6. And now we want to collect our like terms. Just to avoid the negatives, I'm going to add 2x to both sides. Okay, you don't have to do it this way, but if you do, then you'll end up with a positive x, which is kind of nice. And then I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, leaving me with x equals 1. And let's check our result. So I would have negative 2 times 1 minus 3. And then on the right-hand side, I'd have negative 1 plus 5. So on the left, I have negative 2 times, that would be negative 2. So I get positive 4, and I also get positive 4 on the right. So I know it's correct. All right, last two. Step one, we're going to distribute. Here we have two things to distribute. That gives us negative 8x plus 4. And on the right, we have negative 9x minus 6. And then I'm going to add 9x to both sides, leaving me with x plus 4 equals negative 6. And then if I subtract 4 from both sides, I've solved it as x equals negative 10. Okay, and let's check our solution. So everywhere we had an x, we're going to plug in a negative 10. And so I've got negative 4 times, that would be negative 20 minus 1 would be negative 21. And so what does that give me? Negative 4 times negative 21. And you could do this in a single step on your calculator if you want to. I get 84. On the right, I would have negative 3 times, and that's negative 30 plus 2 gives me negative 28. And so I'm going to calculate that. And I also get 84. So that verifies my solution. All right, last one for this section. So again, we have two things to distribute here. So we'll start by doing that. That leaves us with 15x plus 3 equals 14x minus 6 minus 4. That was step one. Step two is to combine any like terms, and here we have some. These two constants on the right are like. We can combine those. To get minus 10. And now let's subtract 14x from both sides to collect our x's on the left. And then let's subtract 3 from both sides to end up with a solution of x is negative 13. And let's check that solution. Oops, that should be a negative 13 in there. Okay, and feel free to use your calculator. If you do it all as one step, just make sure you have brackets after that 3. I'm going to do it as 2. So 3 times, and then I'm going to punch in 5 times negative 13 equals plus 1 equals, and I get negative 64. And so on the left then, I get negative 192. On the right, I'll have 2 times, and then I'm going to do 7 times negative 13 equals minus 3 equals. negative 94. And so we're going to multiply that negative 94 by 2 and then subtract 4, and it gives us negative 192. So we know we got the right answer.